Hi there. Give me just a second. I know I'm super late. I don't know what's going on, and I'm kind of disappointed about the setup because I had the other setup ready, but I can't get cameras and things to work. So let me check where I'm live right now. I don't think I'm live on Facebook at all. Apparently, Facebook, I don't know. They're clearly having issues. Um, but whatever. Maybe I just need to not Facebook, right? I don't even know if I have volume right now. Let's see. Well, at least YouTube is showing that I'm live. So let's hope that I don't start like an audio issue. Let me check. Whatever. Maybe I just need to not Facebook, okay, right? I don't want to pause. I want to mute. Okay. So I'm going to just type something out on Facebook real quick to let people know if there's anybody watching that I will upload it later. Uh, YouTube. Um, let me let me just put a link in here for Facebook people in case they want to pop on. Um, yeah, totally bummed. Totally bummed. But sometimes you just got to roll with it, right? My channel, I can see that on YouTube it says that it's March. Copy. We'll throw this in here. Post. Okay. Do. So let me make that small and make this small. Yeah, leave that up. Okay. All right. So I should be able to see if I have anybody actually that stuck around to watch the live. I'm gonna have to figure this out. So um, let me get my script up first. We'll start with that, and we'll go from there. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Hi, I'm Heidi. I am a work at home handmade business owner at HeidiMind.com, as well as a homeschool mom of an 11-year-old and 13-year-old girl. Well, 11-year-old girl and 13-year-old girl. I go live here on Facebook and YouTube. Well, tonight it's just YouTube. On Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. During the live, I share about things going on with my business, homeschooling, and our personal lives. Be sure to follow on, I don't know, you could follow on Facebook. Like, that's okay. But Facebook and Instagram are just not, I'll talk about it in a minute. Um, but you can subscribe on YouTube and you get notifications when I do go live or when I post any recorded content, which hopefully is going to be coming over the next week and then more consistently throughout the year. Um, if you like hanging out with me, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. It helps more people just like you see the videos and come hang out. I'm going a little off script with some of this, so if you're used to like my normal way that I read this, it's going to sound a little different because I'm a little off my game tonight. If you are joining me live tonight, please go ahead and comment with hashtag live, or if you are watching the replay, comment with hashtag replay. This does help me know when people are watching and if I need to change up times and dates, which I'm going to also talk about in just a few minutes. Um, and if you are not subscribed to the email list, there is a link in, I don't know, it's not showing up on YouTube in the chat, but it will show up in the description box um, when this live goes to when the live goes like to the channel permanently, it'll show up in the comments. I have not even put in a link for the tea of the week, so it's a whole thing. Two, excuse me. I have another one coming. I can feel it. I can feel it. Maybe not. I don't know. Um, I'm a little off my game tonight. I had a thing this morning that I'll talk about, but like I I forgot to eat breakfast. I was thinking I would eat there. Like they usually provide food, and they did. They had a ton of food. But then I like, didn't eat anything, and then I came home and I was doing and the thing lasted longer this morning than I thought it was going to. And I got home and I did make myself some toast, but apparently that wasn't enough, and I ended up falling asleep, and then I woke up late, and so now I'm hot mess express. So um, yeah, if you're fond of the struggle bus, jump on board. I'm driving tonight. Um, hopefully by next week I'll have it figured out. Right? Right. So home updates. Uh, I don't know. It stopped raining for a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. My father-in-law just stopped by like 10 minutes before I went live, and he's like, "There's rain coming." And we really desperately need to um handle the front yard. Like I don't have grass out there. I have uh just I don't know. It's like reeds that grow up in my my yard. Like I don't even want to call them, there are weeds, but it's like I don't know. I don't have a lawnmower. I don't do yard work. I've never done yard work. I have horrible allergies. Um, so yard work has never been my thing. I do have a weed whacker in the shed. Have no idea how to use it, but I might need to figure that out. Um, but my father-in-law said he would come over and help mow down the area that needs to be mowed down. My front yard's a little tricky because my husband had built um, this like deck in the middle of the front yard, and and he did a great job, and people love it. I don't understand. People really love it. I don't love it. I kind of hate it actually. And I've considered going out and just pulling it up because, a drill is my friend. But I know that the posts that this thing like lives on, they're cemented into the ground. So even if I were to lift off all of the patio planks that were never finished, he started staining them, but he never like weatherproofed them. So like the stain now is half not there. Um, it's not very high off the ground because if you make it under a certain height, you don't have to pull permits for it. And if it's under like a certain size, so he made it under those specifications so that we didn't have to do any permits for it. But it's just awkward to me. I don't love it. Um, there's like a part of my yard that has some bark put down, but the ground cover was never put down the right way. So there's weeds and there's growth coming up through that. The other half of the yard has like rock on it. Again, the ground cover was not put on correctly. So it's just I can't even hire someone to come over and like take care of it because it would just cost me a whole lot of money. So I don't know. I'm figuring it out as I go. But now it's supposed to like apparently rain this weekend. I'll have to look it up because I didn't see that on my phone, and I'm very good about watching the weather. And sometimes if it rains where my father-in-law lives, which is like 20 minutes away, it's not like he's only a few miles from me, but it will literally rain at his house and it'll be like bright and shiny and 70 degrees at my house. I've said it before, I live under a Stephen King dome. I don't get it. So I need to handle the yard. Uh, this week, I ran my garbage can into my foot. It's a lovely shade of light purple, but I'm fine. And then yesterday, my mom was here doing some laundry, and all of a sudden, the washing machine decided that it was going to act like a spoiled 3-year-old, and it filled the barrel with water, whatever it's called, um, the drum, I guess it is. And then it didn't want to drain. So it was late in the day. I have a shop vac, so she had like vacuumed out one shop vac full of water, but it was still like the drum was still really full, which is ironic because it doesn't fill that much when it's washing the laundry. So I don't know what's going on. It's all weird. So I went to my thing this morning and I'm like, I'll handle the washer when I get home. Uh, one of the one of the women that works with our charter school, she always does this speech every year about wearing a lot of hats. So I made a joke today that I was going to be um, putting on my small appliance repair person hat, but I didn't have to do that. I got home. I was gonna go get the shop vac, and then I was like, I'm just going to push the button that says drain and spin. And I did that, and I could hear a noise, and I felt the hose behind the machine, and I could feel the water coming through it. So I just kind of kept an eye on it, and it drained. The whole thing drained. So I did a test wash with just some vinegar, and I did like the small load, um, and it seemed to wash fine. It only filled with like 5 cups of water, high efficiency and all. Um, and then, but it drained properly. It did all the things. So I did a load of towels, um, and they washed fine. It it seems to have washed fine. So I don't know. I don't know. I didn't. My small appliance hat had to go back up on the shelf, or my small appliance repair person hat had to go back up on the shelf. I did not actually have to fix anything. I don't know. Maybe next time. I'm not afraid of fixing things. Um, so yeah, so that was nice though, because I really don't want to have to buy a new washer right now, to be honest, with every little buddy. Um, I did make a note, like I am just not motivated lately. It's a thing. Like I make a list of things that I want to get done, and I keep making these really super short lists, thinking if I make a short list, I would actually do the things. Nope. No, 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 no. My eyeball is really itchy and I'm trying not to touch it. Um, so those are the home updates. We're just getting ready for Easter. Um, it was supposed to be nice weather. That's what I'm telling Mother Nature that she needs to like keep up on. So I fully intend to use my smoker. It will be the first time I use the smoker this year, so I'm super excited about that. I have some tri-tip in the freezer. I'll be taking that out, marinating that. So I'm super excited because I love smoked tri-tip. That's some good stuff. Um, I'm gonna make scalloped potatoes. I like scalloped potatoes, so I'm gonna make those. And I have like a pack of Cheddar Bay biscuits from Red Lobster. If you've never had Cheddar Bay biscuits from Red Lobster, they're so good. Um, so that's what I'm making. I have to figure out like a vegetable to put in there, but that's what it is. Um, I think I said some of this last week. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. I went live last week, right? Yeah, I went live last week. Uh, so homeschool updates. Um, there's not a lot. The last like we're done right before Memorial Day. So the last 2 months are a little bit of like a blur. A lot of people, especially with homeschool, we don't necessarily go by the traditional schedule, like a traditional lesson plan. So I think that it's like 32 or 34 weeks in a school year, and where a traditional teacher would have to stick to that, and they may not even finish their lesson plan, just because of all of the other outside influences. A lot of homeschool parents that I know, they tend to finish their lesson plan early because we're not restricted in the way that we teach. Like, obviously, your public school teacher can't come to your house and teach on a Saturday. Like, we can do homeschool on a Saturday if we're just sitting around the house and want to get something done. Or the kids can do two lessons in one day instead of just one. It just depends on their learning. So I know that a lot of homeschool parents, I don't know that a lot of homeschool parents, I know that in our experience and the homeschool parents that I talk to, we tend to be finishing up our curriculum for the year kind of in April and early May. And then we're like looking for things to do to kind of fill the rest of the school year. So I think that that's really where we're at as a whole in that community is um, there's certain state testing that we do um, to keep funding for our charter school because of course, everything's a business and sometimes you really have to just appreciate the simplicity of things being a business. And if a charter school gives us funds for our school year, so I don't have to pay for our curriculum out of pocket. If they ask for our family to take the state testing once a year, we're fine. We'll do it. Um, so yeah, so that's our big thing that's coming up is the state testing. Um, Today we had what they called an input meeting for the parents, and I've done these before, pre 2020. Um, they were very small before, and I don't know if it was just because of current um, accreditation things that are happening or what. But before we just, we met with like the um, administration, the head administrator for the charter school, and she just went over numbers, like where we're at as far as testing scores, where we're at with the student um, groups. It, there's a lot of information that traditional public schools don't really tell you, and our school is very transparent with it, which is great. It's actually really interesting to learn as a parent all of the things that our school does. We have a lot of different programs for special needs, and apparently we're a lot higher than the state average. And those students are also testing much higher than the state average students of children in similar situations in the traditional school system. So it's fabulous because it means that our charter school is meeting the needs of the students. Um, so, so without getting all preachy about it, it was just really a great thing. They had the advisors at the school at this meeting, um, some of the on-site teachers, some of the home educators. Um, I myself was obviously there, and my my homeschool mom BFF Sarah from At Home with Sarah Jane, she was there. Um, they did not put us at the same table, which we joked around about because I said it's just like high school. Like, we talk too much. But I think it was really great. I did happen to know quite a few people at my table, um, not only because I ended up sitting next to my own advisor and one of the teachers that teaches on site. So she's one of my kids' teachers a couple days a week. Um, I also met some people that I've seen around before, but I've never met them in person. So I just thought it was just a great experience to hear the thoughts and input from all of these different sources. Uh, so yeah, so it was just a really good um, experience, I think, and it brought up a lot of questions for me. I know that I have friends in traditional public school systems, and some of them volunteer to do things, um, like class mom and whatnot. And I kind of feel like we don't have that because we don't have traditional classrooms. Um, we have like a 1 day a week for the elementary school if they choose to. Um, the middle school has the option of 1 day a week if they choose to and if there's room. The high school, I don't know as much about. They have a few more days on campus, um, but I don't see a lot of like parent volunteers, I would say. Um, so like that was part of like my input, and I know it was part of uh, Sarah's that like we had some suggestions that well maybe hers is a little different, but it's along the same vein that um, new people coming in, whether they're brand new to homeschooling and they have a kindergarten or first grader, or whether they're new to homeschooling and they have an older child, uh, their charter school is always trying to provide as much information as possible. But even seasoned homeschoolers and transitioning our students into older grades, there is a little bit of um, a disconnect in preparedness. I remember when I told Sarah this, so she's watching this, or when she watches it later, she's gonna be like, fast forward. Uh, when I we've been with this charter school from the very beginning of our homeschool journey. My oldest started kindergarten the second year that this particular charter school had a campus locally. So we've been with them very far back and from our roots of our homeschool journey. Um, and I remember I signed up and I was on the wait list. And I think I was on the wait list for, I don't know, a week, maybe 2 weeks. Uh, and I was signing up prior to the school year starting. So I was signing up at the end of what would, if she went to preschool, it would have been the end of her preschool year. So I knew I was still like before the summer cutoff and all of that. Um, but they sent me an email and they said, okay, this is your advisor, and they're going to reach out to you and get some things set up, and they'll give you your information. And I love my advisor. I adore her. She's been with me this entire time. Um, and she sent me, like what our budget was and some resources of where to buy curriculum. But I really felt like I was in the dark about what curriculum to get. Uh, And then I think that they said something to the effect of, we'll talk about it at our first meeting, but our first meeting is the first week of school. So I didn't have any curriculum. And they're very good about that sort of thing. Like it's okay. It's okay if you don't have all of your curriculum set up and your lesson plan in place prior to the school year starting. Um, but I think for some of us, we really want that. Like we take those summer months and I don't know about everybody else, but I do know that normally in February, I'm already starting to think about next year's curriculum. By the time school is done for us, I have a rough list of what I want. I spend the first week in May making my list of the exact items I'm going to purchase. And then on the first day we can purchase, I buy it, whatever I need, I purchase it. And then I put in for a reimbursement when school starts. Um, and I like that. I like having all of my supplies a little bit early so that I'm a little bit more set up because we all know I'm, you know, hot mess express driving the struggle bus. that's that's in every aspect. So, uh, but it's hard for the school because as parent educators, we're picking our own curriculum. Um, and that's why it's so wonderful that there are people like Sarah who has a YouTube channel and she talks about her curriculum. I don't do that as much here because I am a little bit more focused on my sewing business with my YouTube channel. And I just bring in a little bit of bits and pieces of homeschool, every once in a while, just to kind of let people know what we're doing. Um, so it is great that Sarah comes in and she shows you pieces of their homeschool day and things that they do in their personal life, but she really breaks down what she's doing, what programs she likes, that sort of thing. And I think that's such an asset to new homeschoolers. I mean, even it's an asset to people that are currently homeschooling, but anyone who's looking for those resources, that's amazing. And so that was one of my suggestions, was that really to get that parent involvement. Um, because if we're not donating our time to the school and helping out where traditional schooled children have parents, that volunteer for whatever. Obviously, homeschool parents, were in a completely different category. We're already doing a lot for our kids and their education. But as a community of homeschoolers, and that's very important uh, for most homeschoolers, is that we have that community to be able to provide some guidance for new people coming in. And obviously, 2020 to 2022, that was a very big awakening for a lot of traditional schooled parents. And we've gotten this influx of new parent educators. And that's a lot. It's a lot to put on these advisors and administration, and to say, um, here's all these new people, tell them what to do. Because they're looking at the parents telling them, like, these are my needs, and then they can guide them. Where I think that as the actual parent educators, we should be able to say to our community, this is where our children have struggled, and these are the curriculums we've used to uh, help our child thrive. So it's two different aspects of it's two sides to the coin. You have to have both. Uh, so I was like, yeah, do that, do that. But it's a wonderful group of people. Um, yeah. What else? What else? What else? I have my notes down here today, so um, I probably should have put them up on my screen, but you know me, I'm always looking around anyways. So that was homeschool business. Oh my goodness, business. So this morning I woke up and I got my phone because that's the first thing I do. I wake up, well, because I use my phone for my alarm, because I can't hear my alarm ever. So I turn off my alarm and I open my phone to see any notifications. And I had a notification today that I had 85 copyright infringement violations on Facebook. So I figured I was hacked. I was like, I got hacked. Which is odd because I have two-factor authentication, right? So here's my issue with Facebook today. Uh, so I went into Facebook, I logged all of my devices out, um, which I forgot obviously when I went live, and so now we have this. Uh, so it logs me out of everything. It pulls all of the things that are connected away. So I did know, like, when I went to go post something for my business earlier, I had to reconnect something, and that wasn't a problem, so to speak. But if you have two-factor authentication set with Facebook, it's supposed to give you different options to be able to log into your account. Now, I have tried to, like, if I forget my phone at home, it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. I can't log into Facebook from one of my daughter's phones because I have to actually have my phone in order to verify that I'm the one logging in. And it says that it should be able to send me a text message or I think an email. It never does that. It just shows me a little pop-up on my phone asking if I'm the person signing in. And I say, yeah, that's fine, whatever. And I was thinking, well, why isn't it sending me a text message? If it gives me the option of a text message, it should send me a text message. So I feel like that's a flaw. It's, it's a flaw, Facebook, a big flaw, especially because they don't provide any type of customer service at all. I have had multiple friends and family either get hacked and it takes a while to get their account back or they don't get their account back. Um, and I get it. Facebook is a free service to the users, whatever. But I don't know. Like if you're going to say that you're providing a security service or security feature, it should work. And if it doesn't work, then, maybe have some little bit of customer service set up so that you can address that. Um, I know on Instagram the other day it said that I could get the little blue star, whatever, saying that I am who I say I am, the verification, whatever that is. And I thought, "Oh, okay, I'll verify like that I am who I say I am." I've been on Instagram since forever. They want to charge you $12 a month for that. And I'm like, no, mm-mm, not even a little bit. I think I have enough of a presence on Google at this point that I can verify that I'm a business. I'm not paying Meta $12 a month to verify that they've received a copy of my driver's license. Oi, oi, I don't know. It, yeah. Social media has started to become a problem. I don't know. I don't know. I like I I don't leave the house much. It is what it is. I leave the house. I do the things I need to do. But we don't have a need to leave the house every single day most of the time. So I do rely on social media, not just for my business. I rely heavily on it for my business, but even for personal, like I can check in with people. So to have those services not working is frustrating, but to have them not working the way that they're supposed to and then not have any support is gonna not make me happy. Um, and I do feel like uh, there's so many services trying to grab our attention and they want us to stay on their platform. Um, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and it's not YouTube is not necessarily social media, but it is in a way. Um, but then if you're a business and you're watching the algorithms and you're watching your reach and all of those back end pieces of data, I don't know. I don't know. It, I feel like I feel like the companies are kind of telling us one thing and then they're doing something different. So I'm not particularly in love with Facebook. I haven't been for a while. Um, I really think that if the pandemic had not hit, that Facebook would have seen a bigger decline in their usage. I think the fact that people were isolating and at home more, they were using social media a whole lot more. And then a lot of people saw like the chaos in it. And so now they're drawing back out. Um, and honestly, like everybody's like, let's go to video. Let's do these little like reels and TikToks and whatever. And I don't know. I don't know how people find the time to do that. I don't understand how they make money doing it. I don't get it. Um, I guess if you can make an income, like a livable income, and that's your only job, cool beans on you. But I, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. So for me and my direction of business, I really had to just step back. Most of this year I've been posting 2 to 3 times a day to Facebook and Instagram. I've really pulled back, and I think I've been posting like once a day to those platforms. And my reach hasn't changed much. Some days it's actually better than when I was posting more. I don't get it. Um, but I really feel like YouTube is in this big push. I mean, I know that there are um, coaches that are really, if they're really on like the pulse of things, they know YouTube is pushing um, to be like the number one source of all social. So there's that. So I think that's a little bit where my focus wants to be right now is to do to do content that is focused on YouTube. So maybe doing some shorts, doing obviously my live, and then doing recorded content. But YouTube, you can do like posts now. You can do polls and all sorts of other things. So I was like, if I'm just looking at YouTube as social media and then sharing that out to other sources afterwards, that's fine. So I think that's kind of where I'm going to focus. And especially because it does take me a lot longer to make all of the content and then get it back out there. Um, and Pinterest, I think is easier to share, uh, even from YouTube. So, anyways, that's my random ramblings about that. Um, So I am struggling to keep up. That's in my notes. That's part of my notes is I'm struggling to keep up because I have so many ideas of things that I want to do, and I either don't have the time or the energy to get it all done. I have my planner. I'm kind of moving it around because you don't want to see all the stuff that's on the notes. I mean, maybe you do, but you don't. So I have like all these ideas of things, but then, you can see like this situation behind me. I got to get this kind of cleaned up first. Um, and then it's just the spiral of I have to feed I was gonna call them short people, but they're really not that short. My kids are almost taller than I am now. I knew it was gonna happen, and I knew it was gonna happen in their early teens. So I'm not tripping at all about that. Like they're going to be taller than me, no problem. They, my oldest is, she's if she's not as tall as me right now, she's like right at that borderline. So I'm fine with it. I'm totally. I have platform shoes. I'm good. Um, but I have to feed them. I have to, and even they help out quite a bit with things around the house and whatnot. But there are certain things that I have to do, and like they can't do this room situation. So it's just a matter of finding that balance. And that's what I'm working on. And maybe I'll have it figured out before the end of the school year. And if I don't, then maybe I'll get it figured out during the summer. Because we, as soon as the school year is over, we go and take care of my grandmother in Arizona. So there will be a whole month where I'm not actually in this room. Um, I have to figure out the dynamics of how I'm going to do that situation because there's a really loud bird at that house. I've talked about the bird. I'm not going to go into it. Um, but yeah, so too many ideas, not enough time, all the things. Um, I want to get back to sewing. YouTube, I think I talked about YouTube is doing this thing now where they're going to be like they have YouTube music, and now you can do a podcast, and so many people are just jumping right on it. And I had every intention of jumping right on it, and then I didn't. So that's on um, my radar, things I need to do. But apparently, in order to do the podcast, you have to record a video. So you have to like you can either record a video on your own or you can do a live. Um, and then you upload it and then you put it into your podcast list. Um, so yeah, so I got to find time to do that too. Um, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to have a different setup than just my crazy sewing room? So that those are all the things that I'm thinking about. Like, am I going to do this in my living room? I do have a guest room that I need to kind of get cleaned up a little bit, but I'm thinking about doing that in there. Um, and and I don't want to do a podcast about sewing, and I don't want to do it about homeschooling and all that stuff. I think I talked about it a little bit last week. Did I? I don't know. It's not in my notes. Um, it's not in my notes that I talked about it. So if I'm repeating myself, then sorry. Uh, I I would like to do a podcast about the 80s and 90s, pop culture specifically, uh, books, TV, um, movies, music, a little bit of like style. My sense of style is quite interesting, but I did grow up in the 80s and the 90s. Um, and I lived through all of that, and I was definitely paying attention to all of it the entire time. Uh, I remember thinking how horrid 80s style was. And in the 90s, I loved our a lot of like clothing styles. I did start sewing again in my teenage years when I was in high school in the early 90s. Um, and pop culture has always had an influence on things that I create. And so I feel like having a podcast about those things um, does relate to my business as a whole because I do. I mean, let's be honest. I could do a Disney podcast and it would go on for millions of years because there are just so many random things about like Disney that I could talk about because we used to go to like for 20 years, 20-ish years, we went to Disneyland at least twice a year. Um, I have grown up watching Disney movies. I watch them much more than my kids ever have. Uh, yeah. So, and maybe I'll do that too. Maybe I'll do, a Disney, like what are Heidi's thoughts on Disney things? I don't get so much involved in the politics of Disney. Um, the Iger thing or the whoever is in charge now, like whatever. Um, it's a business. It has to be run like a business, and my opinion is probably not going to gel well with the opinions of the masses. Not that I like what Disney CEOs and whatnot have done over the last few years. Do not get me started on the whole live action thing. I'm done. Stick a fork in it, Disney. No, no. Stop doing remakes. Stop doing live action, whatever. Um, Although I am excited about The Little Mermaid. I think that they made enough changes in that. Like even if they just did the entire original script, changing it to make it more diverse, in my opinion, is is completely changing the whole dynamic of the movie. So, like, and again, you've got like half of the people that want to agree with me and half of the people that don't. Um, I definitely believe that TV and movies have never been diverse enough in multiple ways. Um, and I find beauty in the diversity of characters. Uh, and I'm not just talking about skin color. There's a wide range of diversity in the world, um, and I like to see that in because if they're I don't know. If somebody's doing a TV show or a movie, and unless like you're on a different planet, if it's just about everyday people, then you should have everyday people. You should have all those walks of life represented. So I don't want to get too much into that, um, but yeah, maybe I'll do something with that. But I did want to do the 80s and the 90s specifically. I just went and saw one of my friends in Northern California last week, and and I adore her husband. He's like the the biggest teddy bear, and he's just a wonderful, beautiful human being, and he has just like this fabulous aura about him that I, I don't know. For me, this is like a whole like for me thing. Like I haven't seen him in a while, and I come in the house screaming "Hi, bestie!" like a 5-year-old. Um, but sometimes we just have that with people. Uh, and so we were, I was kind of talking to him about it, and he's a little older than I am, and he gets it. Like he knows what I'm talking about. Um, when I'm talking about like pop culture and what I want to discuss in my podcast and whatnot. Um, and I was joking in a way, and we were talking. I was saying, when kids are growing up, they're always asked, what do they want to be when they grow up? I can't remember if I talked about this before. I may have, so I'll keep it short. But I never really had like oh, I want to be a firefighter when I grow up or whatever. Like I knew the things I didn't want to be when I grew up. I didn't have like oh, this is what I want to be. But I have these random ideas about things I'd like to do when I grow up, even now, because I'm not fully done growing up yet. And I said, when I was younger, especially like when I was a teenager and I was learning about like the government system, I said, when they told us about filibusters, I was like, that's what I want to do. I just want to go into a room and just talk forever about whatever. So watch out, Washington, because I could do it. I could keep those people in their seats for far too long because they have to. Like if I have the floor, they have to sit there. They might want to quit their jobs when I'm done, so that could be a good thing. Uh, but I like talking, obviously, because I come online every week for at least an hour and I talk, and sometimes people comment back and talk to me, but a lot of times I'm just talking to this little light on my camera, pretending that somebody's listening. So let's be honest, I can do that thing. So I'm a little excited about the podcast. Um, I might do it like because I keep thinking about the dynamics of how I'm going to set it up. Um, and I have not been walking this week, which I need to walk this week. I have some goals. I have some goals because random. Uh, there's a new Barbie movie coming out with Margot Robbie, and it is coming out on my birthday. Um, so like in my head, this is the random places that my brain goes. I'm like, oh, I need to make an outfit to go see this Barbie movie. And I want a bright yellow shirt, and I want it to say Heidi, but in Barbie font and Barbie pink. Um, and they're doing like all this really fun advertising on social media for the movie, and I'm like, I'm gonna make some of that for my own fun for social media. I'm obsessed with Barbie. Let's just be honest. I never looked at Barbie as this unattainable thing. Um, Barbie for me was everything growing up. Well, you could be anything because of Barbie. Um, so I have these goals of what I want to make for for this Barbie like premiere. I'm not going anywhere special. Like, it's not a big thing. But I was like, but I really want to be a little smaller because, yeah, healthier. Let's just say healthier. I want to be healthier. Uh, so then I was, jumping train tracks, and I'm like, so if I do the podcast, then I could get up in the morning like I'm supposed to be doing and do my walk, and then have the camera set up and just hang out in the guest room and do the podcast because I already have the door closed anyways when I work out because I don't like the cats coming in because they think that they can go on the treadmill with me and they can't. Um, but then it would just like roll into one thing. So I'm trying to figure out the dynamics of it because I was not a normal teenager. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I know there's a couple of people that knew me as teenager, as a teenager. Um, but I didn't decorate my room with posters and things. And so then I was thinking for the guest room, eventually I'm going to paint it. But I'm like, what am I going to do? Am I going to decorate it with like stuff like it was the 90s? I don't know. So those are things I'm thinking about. But if it's a podcast, nobody's going to see it. But if you watch it on YouTube, if I record a video of it, then you'd be able to see the dynamic of it. Um, so that's something fun. I've already started pulling together ideas of what I want to talk about. Um, I'm definitely going to be big on TV shows, movies, cartoons, um, and music. Music has always been a very big thing in our family. I myself cannot sing. I mean, I can, I just don't do it well. But like every single person in my family can sing on my dad's side, and a bunch of them can sing on my mom's side. So I did not inherit that. There were a lot of things I didn't inherit from my family. Um, yeah, but that's a whole different set of topics. Um, so yeah, so I was like, well, I could talk about that because seriously, Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s, I could have years of content just talking about Pac-Man. Maybe not really, but like I was there for a lot of that. We watched a lot of TV. And I had a grandmother that owned a video store um, in the mid to late 80s. So we watched some random movies. The Stuff. It's a horror movie. Go check it out. Uh, yeah, people don't believe me that it's real. There's some movie my dad watched and people never believed that it was real, and but it was. I'll have to find out because that was also in the 80s. But yeah, so I have like this long list of um, popular movies, TV shows, cartoons, clothing. Again, clothing. I have a lot of thoughts about style over the years and how it rotates and comes back uh, in different ways. And then I did, because we all know I love to read, I I put into search the top 10 books of the 1980s and the 1990s, and I think it gave me like 40 or 50 each. So, um, the original idea was to do the podcast like once a week, but if I read the books, and then some of the books I have read, I think the 80s books were much more child friendly. Or there were more child friendly books in the 80s that were like top sellers or most popular versus the 90s. I can't remember. It was one or the other. There was like a very large list of like child friendly books. So those will go much faster. But I do like to reread books now as an adult that I did read as a teenager. Um, because I find that interesting. I find the perspective different. I find the different perspective interesting. What I thought as a teenager about a book versus what I think as an adult about a book. Um, and maybe I'll do a different podcast just about books. Who knows? Who knows? Let's be honest, if I tell myself that I'm going to walk every day or exercise every day and then I do a podcast for 30 minutes after, I might very well just maybe I'll do a whole year of podcasts. Wouldn't that be obnoxious? Um, and I know that I started late, but we are hitting the hour. So I'm going to start wrapping this up because I have no idea what I'm going to make for dinner tonight or what I'm going to do for dinner. Don't know. So I know my kids are going to be like, "What's up, mom?" The last thing I wanted to talk about is changing up the live. Uh, Again, when I was talking to my friend in Northern California, I don't remember if she didn't know that I go live or if she has to miss it because of travel time. Trying to hit all the time zones uh, is a challenge um, because unfortunately, there aren't a lot of people that comment and tell me when you're watching and when you're not watching. And I know that there are people watching because I can see it in the back end of the system. So just let you know, I know there are people watching. I don't know who you are. It's fine. It could just be people that happen to see the video in their feed and it shows up for like 2 seconds and then they click out, and that's fine too. Um, so she was saying, because I do get advice from all of my friends all the time. I love it. Um, I'm the kind of person that I won't necessarily run with everyone's advice, but I always take it into consideration. And I think very long and hard about the advice that I'm given about things. Um, so she was saying maybe do later in the day because people that are, especially people in California, where I am located, when I'm out live at 5, it sounds so fun, but people are getting off work, they're driving home, they're making dinner, um, all of those things. So it's a little harder for people to get online. I know that I have people out of state that are friends and family that might watch. Um, so if I don't want to go online so late that if I have a friend on the East Coast, that it's like midnight their time. Um, so, and then I also, that was loud. I also have to really talk to my kids about what works for our family dynamic as far as when I go live. Um, and I know that for us, if I go live a little later, it would actually work a little better for them because then we can do dinner first and then they can go do their own thing while I'm doing the live. So I talked to my kids about going live at 7 o'clock Pacific time instead of 5 o'clock. It doesn't rhyme as well, but it's something to think about. And then we also kind of talked about doing it a different day of the week and possibly doing a weekend day. And the only struggle that I see with a weekend day for myself is if we wanted to go do something for a weekend, then I wouldn't be able to go live. And the way to make the algorithm robots happy is consistency. So that was the other thing because I have considered doing lives on like Saturdays or Sundays because right now I don't have, a social life. What can you do? Um, but then if for some reason I got a social life, then I'd have to reschedule again or I'd have to like rework the whole thing. So I'm going to be playing around with that. I'm going to be looking at what works for myself and the kids. I'm going to look at what seems to benefit the algorithm. If there are people that are able to join and come hang out on different days or different times, we'll kind of play around with that. Um, so I will be posting to social media and to YouTube, and I will be doing emails this month to try to figure out if people are interested in the lives and when they're interested in hanging out. And if I don't get a whole lot of feedback, then I'm going to just talk to my friends that say they're going to join the live and I'm going to tell them, look, I'll change it, but you have to actually be there and hang out with me. And then we'll see how that goes. Um, so next week, the live may be a different time. I'm not sure if it's going to be a different day. I might, I might just do like 7 o'clock next Wednesday. I'll confirm this in all of the social medias and things. I might just try doing 7 o'clock next Wednesday to see how it works. And I'll look at our schedule and maybe I will start going live 2 times a week. Once during like the week on it in an evening and once on the weekend to see what's working. Because also the weekends might be a little more difficult because I have neighbors. And this wall here is my garage door, and there's not a whole lot of like soundproofing. Um, I do need to finish the wall. I don't know if that's something that I'm going to add as far as soundproofing because you can still, I mean, you can hear stuff. It it's loud. It's loud all over. Um, but we'll see what works. Because on the weekends I would definitely want to be live either earlier in the day. I don't think I'd want to do like an afternoon live, and that's when people would be the loudest. I'd either want to be like in the morning when but people, if they're at church, they're not gonna want to hang out, um, or yeah, or in the evenings. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what works. I am going to be getting more content loaded into YouTube. Um, I still have to do those unboxing videos. I need to do my nails desperately, mostly because it's fun, not because I actually have a need to do my nails. Uh, I definitely have 3 sketch boxes to open and 3 months of KiwiCo to do. And normally I like to stagger that out, but then like I found like a whole bunch of other things that I could do that are kind of unboxing. And a lot of those are very homeschool focused. I do have, I'm looking under my desk where I also store things. Um, I have 6 Bella boxes down there, and one of them is still sealed in plastic. So I think I could do an unboxing of one of those. And I also have 3 collectible Christmas that need to be opened or unboxed, whatever. And you can't see it, my sweatshirt's on it. I have started a binder. I think I talked about it last week. Where's my notes from last week? Yeah, I did talk about it last week, that I miss sewing, that I want to get back to sewing, and I'm going to be doing some sewing videos. Those were already supposed to happen, but things just got a little wonkadoo here. So I will be doing more uploads for those. Um, yeah, I'll have to play with like times and days because originally I had wanted to do uploads of recorded content on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Um, but I may have so much to like record and put out that maybe I'll do a 30-day challenge for myself where I put out new content every single day for 30 days and then I'll switch back to a schedule. So, a lot going on, so many ideas, definitely not enough time. Um, I wish, I wish, I wish a lot of this was like happening back when I never slept. There, like, I don't know. There have been times I go through these like things where there was the summer that I forgot to eat. I was a teenager and I was very busy, so, things happen. Um, but even like when my kids were younger, um, and I was first like launching my sewing business, and I would get 3 to 4 hours of night of 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, and I was functioning. I wasn't functioning well, um, but yeah, sometimes I think that maybe I just need to go back to a little bit of that working on adrenaline and stress for a hot minute, just so I can get some things done, and then I'll try to find some balance after that, right? I don't know. We'll find the balance. We will find it together. Oh, my shirt, because I didn't do tea of the week this week yet on the website, um, but I will add that in just a few minutes. So I have a box of light bulbs right here. So my tea of the week is Bring Back the 90s. How fitting is that? Um, that I was talking about it. Because I'm trying to figure out which shirts I've showed you and which ones I haven't. But if you are not old enough to remember, those are tape players, um, radios from the olden days. Uh, I was telling the kids we heard, what was it? It was UB40 on the radio, and it was an Elvis um, remake, like a cover. Uh, Only Fools Fall in Love. I forget. It's something like that. Um, and so we heard that in the car, and I was like, oh, this song was released when I was 16 years old, which was 30 years ago. Roughly. I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I think if I remember correctly, it was on a soundtrack for a Sharon Stone movie, for like the big one that she did, the legs crossed. I can't think of what that movie was called right now. Because I'm not doing my podcast, I wasn't prepared. Uh, Indecent Proposal? I think that was a different one. I don't know. But regardless, it was on a soundtrack. Um, and for my 16th birthday, my dad and my stepmom got me a CD player, like a boombox CD player. And my brother bought me that soundtrack, and it had that particular song, and I loved that song. Like that was like my favorite song that summer. Um, so so that's what I'm talking about, is like the 90s pop culture stuff. Like I remember it, I live it every moment of the day. Uh, and my kids hate it because I will hear a song or watch a show or whatever it is, and like I know exactly what I was doing in that moment when I heard or saw it the first time, way back a million years ago. So, um, yeah, that is all. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you haven't already, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, follow or subscribe, and comment with hashtag live, hashtag replay. All of these interactions not only help to push the videos out to more people just like you, they let me know what content you are enjoying the most. So thank you so much for hanging out, whether you are watching me right now or